Sound check for the YouTube Live. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
You can mute.
And now we're sound checking for Facebook. Anybody hear me? Sound good? 1, 2, 3. Hopefully it sounds good and everyone can hear fine. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started, everybody. Thank you again for joining us. My name is Christopher Van with the National Weather Service here in Slidell. I'm going to give Kevin a break. He is sitting in the office with me, so if everyone's got problems, by all means, don't hesitate to put in there, and I'll pull Kevin over and he can start talking to everyone. But we're going to go over a quick review of what we're expecting tonight with the severe potential and heavy rain right now. So quickly, you're going to look at the PC. I'm going to pull up the satellite first. So this is what's going right now across mainly the Lower Mississippi River area, Lower Mississippi Valley area. As you can see, with all the nice bright colors over northern Louisiana and pretty much central and northern Mississippi, those are a lot of thunderstorms right now. Been numerous reports of hail and even damaging winds, and lately reported about over the last 30 minutes of tornado near Jackson, Mississippi. It's just to the east and northeast of the Jackson, Mississippi office. So already you can see that the potential is there for a pretty volatile situation. Really quick looking at this satellite, if you're familiar with the map right there, all the thunderstorms we just talked about in northern Louisiana, central and northern Mississippi, that is not what we've really been the main focus for our severe weather. The stuff that you see back, if not sure if my mouse shows up, I'm pretty sure it does on the screen. The stuff back in eastern Oklahoma, and even these thunderstorms are trying to develop in East Texas, that is supposed to be what is the main line that's going to come through during the early morning hours. However, there are some question marks we have to watch, and a lot depends on what happens with these thunderstorms in northern Louisiana. If they become what we like solidify into a really good line, and we're getting concerned about that because if you look at these clouds, they're getting that darker red, which means colder cloud tops, which then means stronger updrafts and stronger thunderstorms. If that line solidifies, it may surge off to the east-southeast and actually could move into our area a little faster than we were anticipating. So we have to keep a close eye on that. Quickly going from the satellite to the radar now, as you can see, again, those thunderstorms across central and northern Mississippi, a lot of wind with them, definitely a lot of hail. Hail's not a thing we usually talk a lot about here in the south, especially Louisiana, but if anybody from coastal Mississippi, you saw probably from WLOX or some of the other TV stations around the area, they had golf ball size hail in Pascagoula earlier this morning. So that just shows you the environment we're already in. What we call is very, very cold temperatures in the mid levels of the atmosphere, or what you'll hear us sometimes say lapse rates. They're pretty steep. So if we can get any really strong thunderstorms, the potential for hail is much higher than what we normally see. But as you can see in this radar image, these thunderstorms in now moving into central Louisiana, again, they're a little bit ahead of where some of these models were showing them earlier today. So we're keeping a close eye on that to see if they quickly move into our area. However, there is one other section, if you've been following us on Twitter and some of the other avenues we use, this activity down in around I-55 and then north into Mississippi, we've been watching that closely, and the reason is there's a couple things coming together that could allow these showers to develop. If they're able to become thunderstorms, basically tap into the mid portions of the atmosphere and upper level portions of the atmosphere, they could become severe relatively quickly. And because that they will not be associated with the line, they're going to have a little bit of extra kick to them, which would then make all modes of severe weather possible. So we have to keep a close eye on these storms. These little areas of showers. Luckily, I hadn't seen any lightning with them yet. They've been struggling to really get developing, but however, we've been watching some subtle features in the northwestern Gulf of Mexico that could be the catalyst, could be that one little thing that they're missing right now to get them going. And if they do pop, large hail is definitely a concern along with tornadoes. So Obviously, let's keep a close eye on these area showers right now and see if they continue to develop. So, going to some of the models. This is one of the models we tend to, especially in these environments we're in right now, we tend to put a little bit more faith into it because that's what it's developed for. And as you can see right here, this is pretty much right around the time that we are at right now. It's about between 9 and 10 o'clock tonight. And this is what the model was suggesting. It's not too bad. You can see it's showing the thunderstorms that are in central Mississippi and northeastern Mississippi, and then the stuff that's in north, central, and northeastern Louisiana. So it's not doing a very bad job with it. Looks pretty good. It also shows a lot of this little shower activity bubbling up across southeast Louisiana. So if we go forward in time, you can see that line of thunderstorms in Mississippi and in northeast Louisiana or central Louisiana continues to push southeast, and it starts to move into southwest Mississippi and even portions of West Feliciana, Pointe-Coupee area right around 2 a.m. So 2 and 3 a.m. So it keeps us pretty quiet for the most part for the next say about 4 or 5 hours, and then we start to really see things speed up. And what happens is that the first line starts to get caught up by the second line, solidifies, and then you have a really strong squall line move through the area. And then with that, as you can see, right about this point here, there's indications that we could have really strong winds with this squall line. It's starting to bow out here. You'll hear us say the term bow echo a lot of times. There's also some drying cell. The yellow back here is a lot of light to moderate showers. Well, there's not a lot of yellow back there. It's really drier air is pushing in, so what it's suggesting is that there's very strong winds on the backside pushing out, hence also why it's starting to bow. That would suggest that we have really strong winds with that system. So it's something we're going to have to kind of keep a close eye on right now, and but it looks like it will move through our region sometime between maybe as early as 1 o'clock, but probably more so between 2 and 8 a.m., 2 and 9 a.m., maybe closer to 9 across coastal Mississippi area. One thing we do want to show is that there are some subtle differences with some of the models. One model here that I've noticed recently, let's see if I can pull actually on this one. I apologize. Try it here. And one more thing. I'm sorry about that. Here we go. This is one of the other convective allowing models that we talk about. That first area of thunderstorms across Louisiana that we've been watching, this one shows that it's pretty solid and then quickly moves off to the southeast and east-southeast. By that time, it's already into portions of southeast Louisiana and halfway through southwest Mississippi by 1 a.m. this morning. 1 and 2, so it's a lot faster than some of the other models are showing, and it continues to blow through our area pretty quick, looking for really strong winds, possibly even a few embedded tornadoes with this, because there's going to be a lot of shear out ahead of it. But as you can see, there's a secondary line behind it. That was supposed to be the main line that we're watching. It's pretty weak right there, but it does start to strengthen as it moves through our area as well, so there's a little questions of whether or not we're going to have 1 or 2 different episodes of severe weather. We're just showing right this because most models aren't suggesting this scenario taking place. Looking at some of the stuff tonight that we've been looking at, trying to do the forecast, update the forecast, not quite as confident that this scenario would actually take place. We're expecting more of what we were talking about earlier, with some storms kind of trying to develop over the area and move in during the early morning hours, but that secondary line that's in East Texas and East Oklahoma really becoming the main push and blowing through here during the early morning hours. So really quickly, kind of go through our slideshow. This is a real quick radar overview just in our area, 9 p.m. As I mentioned earlier, that area around I-55, we're keeping a close eye on those showers. If they remain showers, we're good to go. But if they become thunderstorms, there's a chance for them to become strong to severe and could become pretty quickly. All modes of severe weather be possible, and also let's not forget the potential for heavy rainfall. Thunderstorms are already very proficient or efficient rain producers, and there's some features that are kind of coming into play that would make them even more efficient. And not that we're anticipating a lot of flash flooding from them, but what we could see though is that they start to prime some of the rivers. So like the Boga Chitto, the Boga Falaya, the Tchefuncte, the Tangipahoa, these storms, if they develop this evening, would kind of help prime those rivers, get them a little bit higher than what was initially expected. all ahead of the main line coming through here, which will be another efficient rain producer. So just something to keep a close eye on over the next few hours to see if those showers do become a little bit more concerning. The severe weather expected for tonight, this has not changed over our area. It is still, we still have that slight, enhanced, and moderate, basically level 2, 3, and 4 from the I-10-12 corridor northward. As you get closer towards the Florida parishes and especially southwest Mississippi, the threat for severe weather increases with a very strong, very big concern of damaging straight line winds with that squall line that's expected to move through during the early morning hours. There is even a chance we could see winds approaching hurricane force or greater in some of those areas. So everyone that's in that level 3 and level 4, definitely want to be on your guard. Everyone's always concerned about tornadoes. It doesn't take a tornado to really ruin things around here. So realize that this system's probably going to be moving from the west northwest to the east southeast. With that, you have a good indication of where the wind's going to be coming out. So the wind's probably going to be coming out of the east northeast or even northeast with the squall line. If that's the case, know where your house is pointed and know where those trees are. Because if you have trees in your neighborhood and you know where east and west is, so if you have winds that are coming out of the west northwest, that tree is going to fall to the east southeast most likely. So you want to make sure that if you choose a safe place to go, choose in a place that you are pretty confident that that tree would not fall into. That does make things a little bit more predictable when it comes to the squall line, knowing where those strong straight line winds are going to blow things. It's a little bit different with tornadoes because you got things moving in all different directions a lot of times. However, a tornado is only going to damage a very narrow, small area where if this squall line is as severe as it could be, we could have scattered to widespread wind damage all across I-55. So from Hammond to north of Macomb, there could be damage across that entire area. Straight line wind damage straight line winds are nothing to really play around with. The severe weather threat, though, it's not just tonight, it does continue tomorrow morning, but it's mainly going to be kind of the first portion of the morning hours. By midday, everything should be well east of our area. So you're looking at, if the lines are just a little bit slower, maybe still impacting parts of the north and south shore of Lake Pontchartrain, but the primary location to be concerned with during tomorrow morning from basically 7 to 10 o'clock in the morning would be coastal Mississippi. So coastal Mississippi, there's a little bit different timing right now. It could be during the early morning hours just before sunrise, or it could be an hour or two after sunrise. A lot just depends on how fast this line moves, how fast it really tries to kick out once it gets going. Once again, we try to show this often, give everybody a little understanding of what the categories are. We know that the terminology sometimes is confusing. We hear marginal, you hear slight, enhanced, moderate, and high. There's a group of people that would think enhanced sounds worse than a moderate risk. And then you hear slight risk, well, like, okay, slight risk, that means that there's a slight chance, which means there's a greater chance of nothing happening. But what you need to understand is the relative nature of the severe weather. On any normal day, what is the percentage of getting severe weather? It is extremely low. So when you get to a slight risk, even though if the slight risk may be only 10 to 15% chance of seeing strong to damaging winds and large hail, that is probably about 2, maybe even 3 orders of magnitude above the average that we have for a day. So just kind of put it in really easy terms. If the average of getting severe weather in a day is say 0.5, that slight risk is probably at a 20. So just kind of think about it that way. Even though the term is slight, it is a level 2 of what is technically a 6-part level because the general thunder would be level 0. So slight risk, even though it says slight, it's nothing to ignore because we may only have a few severe thunderstorms out there. It doesn't mean we can't get winds of 80, 90 miles an hour. It doesn't mean we can't get hail up to 2 inches in diameter, and it doesn't mean we can't get strong tornadoes. Just because it says slight, it doesn't mean it's going to be weak. So it usually has more to do with the coverage and the confidence level in severe weather. But right now we're pretty confident, and the coverage level of severe weather north, basically I-12 north, and then of course coastal Mississippi being I-10 north over there, where we have that enhanced and that moderate risk for severe weather. The greatest concern is with the winds. Do have a very high probability of strong winds in that area, and even a greater probability of seeing winds possibly approaching hurricane force in that enhanced and moderate, or the levels 3 and level 4. So going really quickly to our total rainfall forecast, you can see we're looking for really widespread 2 to about 4 inches of rain mostly across the I-10-12 corridors north. A lot just depends on what we get this evening. If any of those showers become thunderstorms, that will obviously lead to more. If we get 2 separate lines of storms, like one of the models was showing, then there are going to be areas that could get trained over or have multiple rounds of storms, could even be higher. And then one thing to focus on is that this area of rainfall, that 2 to 4 inches, that's an area rainfall. That is not including those localized higher amounts. You could get one thunderstorm to move over you, and it will drop about 3 inches, maybe even 4 inches of rain in around an hour, maybe just over an hour. So this is the widespread rainfall. So there'll obviously be some areas that have some pockets of higher amounts. And when we say higher amounts, they could be double. So you could see some areas that see 6 to maybe 8 inches of rain. Where that falls is a problem. If it falls over the marsh, we're okay. But if it falls over, say, cities of Baton Rouge or New Orleans, that's a big problem. There's a lot of areas that can't drain. If it falls into places like north of basically northern Livingston or east Feliciana, St. Helena, or portions of Tangipahoa, Washington Parish, and northern St. Tammany Parish, that amount of rainfall in such a short time is going to fall into some of those rivers that we like to say flashy, that they go up and down much quicker with rain. So if you get some really heavy rain in some of those river basins, they're going to jump up. And it's the same thing with coastal Mississippi. Some of those rivers over there, they're going to jump up really quick if we get a heavy rainfall that falls into that basin. The one good thing from like coastal Mississippi standpoint, and even places around like St. Tammany, Tangipahoa Parish, is that we're not in a really bad tide cycle right now, so the water can drain out of these rivers into the Gulf of Mexico and Lake Pontchartrain. There are times where we've had a really strong onshore flow, so we have high tides. So you've got some, not necessarily coastal flooding, but you got some high tides and coastal advisory type conditions, which then hurts the drainage of those rivers. So where we got that highest rain right now, that 3 to 4, you can see it's across St. Tammany, it's across coastal Mississippi, which would fall into some of those more flashy rivers. The good thing is that it doesn't look like those rivers are going to be held up by any strong southerly winds or high tides. Timing of the greatest threat of severe weather. This is kind of a general time frame. We just updated a little while ago. Kevin went through here and tried to find out what would be the best time, given what we were thinking earlier. Now, if we get those 2 separate lines, then the timing is going to be a little bit off, because remember, that second line is going to probably be a few hours behind the first line. But right now, it looks like that area, number 1 area, which would include the Macomb area, also all of South Mississippi, and just the adjacent Louisiana parishes. So Point-Coupee, West East Feliciana, St. Helena, Northern Tangipahoa. You're looking at sometime between 2 and 6. You go just to the southeast of it, so now you're including the Baton Rouge metro area, Hammond, some portions of the North Shore, and then Pearl River County in Mississippi. You're looking at probably about 4 to 7. And then continuing off to the southeast, so you're looking at like Slidell, Mandeville area, the New Orleans metro, Houma, Thibodaux, Galliano areas, and looks like most of coastal Mississippi, something between 5 and 8. And then deeper into extreme coastal southeast Louisiana, you're looking at possibly 7 to 9. Again, this is a general time frame. I do want to be careful, because if that first line, that first area of thunderstorms across north central Louisiana does solidify and become a more solid line, it is going to race out ahead and is going to be faster than this. The one thing I do want everybody to pay attention to is you see those time frames, 2, 4, 5 a.m. What is most people doing on a Friday night? At that time, is probably sleeping. At 2 a.m. you may still be out partying a little bit, but given it's a Friday night, but a lot of people are still going to be asleep at 3, 4, 5 a.m. So make sure you have a way to wake you up. And so no weather radio, or make sure you do have the WIA turned on for your cell phones, because you don't want to be surprised with a tree falling through your house while you're in bed right now. So make sure you have a way to get these warnings and wake you up if we do have to start issuing warnings overnight tonight. And that kind of leads me into the next slide right here. This is your mobile device. Again, There's a lot of different weather apps that can notify you. You can get more information from mobile.weather.gov. Also, we're on social media. Any of your trusted local TV stations, they're on social media as well. Make sure that the wireless emergency alerts WIA is not turned off, because it is free. No one, none of the companies charge for it. So just make sure that those are still turned on, so you get any of the tornado warnings we issue, or if we issue a flash flood emergency, which doesn't look likely tonight, but I can't rule that out. And then if we have any the more extreme severe, and there is that possibility of extreme severe wind across that southwest Mississippi area and adjacent Louisiana parishes in that area. So if we do issue that higher end severe threat, I believe it does WIA as well now. The normal severe thunderstorms won't WIA anymore. They never have. I take that back. So that won't wake you up, but the NOAA Weather Radio will wake you up. So just make sure you have these multiple avenues. And again, not only from the cell phone, but other ways. You got your computer, you've got local TV, family and friends, and don't forget about the whole family and friends stuff. If you are awake and you know somebody is asleep and they are in that warning, call them. If they're your neighbor, knock on their door. I mean, hopefully they're okay with it, but all you're trying to do is you're just trying to save their life. You're just trying to make sure that they are safe. So always think about your family, your friends, and your coworkers, and let them know. Even tonight, my wife driving over to Lake Charles, she texted me because she has a coworker who is home alone right now with her two young children, and her husband is away on a job right now, and they were asking me about the severe weather, and the concern for her is because she's got two little kids. It's between 2 and 6 2 and 6 o'clock this morning for their area. So we just want to make sure to let people know, and then my wife will obviously call her if we issue a warning for that area. So do be that friend, be that family member that makes sure everyone else is safe. And one of the certainly not least, but one of the more important things is know where you are on the map. Know what city, know what parish or county you live in, and then with that being the case, know which office covers your area. As you can see, like right around our area, our sister offices are Mobile, Jackson, Mississippi, and Lake Charles. We cover all of southeast Louisiana, and then the 4 southwest Mississippi counties, along with coastal Mississippi and Pearl River County. But if you look right there in that kind of southeast section of Mississippi, there are 3 offices that cover that area. So if you're in Forest County, which is the furthest southeast county of Jackson, Mississippi's area, you're right there on the border with Pearl River County, and then Stone and Green County in southeast Mississippi. So Stone and Green are covered by Mobile, Pearl River is covered by our office, and then you've got Lamar and Forest County that are covered by Jackson. So know where you are on the map, know which office covers your area, and make sure you are following the correct offices on social media. Make sure you are tuned into the correct NOAA Weather Radio station on your NOAA Weather Radio to get those warnings. And that is pretty much it from our office here. Hopefully that was informative and kind of get you ready for this evening. Right now, we'll just keep a close eye on everything to make sure nothing surprises us. So with it being an overnight system, please make sure that you do have a way to get those warnings and wake you up in the middle of the night. And then let's just hope that the squall line does not develop, as the potential is there for it to. And we come out tomorrow morning after all the rain is, and we have a nice and sunny weekend. Thank you again, and have a great night.